Welcome, and thank you for being here with us on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a day for honoring and commemorating residential school survivors and their families. Today is an important day to look at reconciliation and what that actually means. But what does it really mean? A definition of reconciliation was provided to us by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and it says that we need to establish and maintain mutually respectful relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in Canada, be aware of the past, acknowledge the harm that was inflicted, atone for the causes of the harm, and take action to change the behavior. Today, I will be speaking about the legacy of residential schools. Some of what you hear today may be challenging, as this colonial system has caused harm that has spanned generations. But this learning experience is the first step in the process of reconciliation. The residential schools were in place for over 150 years, and it is estimated that at least 150,000 Indigenous children attended the schools. The goal of the schools was to assimilate Indigenous children and to kill the Indian in the child. Their experiences, captured in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's final report, reveals the abuse, neglect, and in some cases, the deaths that occurred in the residential school system. The children were removed forcibly from their homes, and once they arrived at the school, their hair was cut. They couldn't speak their language, they could not practice their spirituality, and they lost their culture and identity. Residential schools were intentionally far from Indigenous communities, and some children were taken hundreds of kilometers away. At the schools, building conditions were poor, healthy and nourishing food was scarce, and the limited staff at the schools were poorly trained and inadequately supervised. In 2007, the Commission traveled across Canada, listening to testimony of over 6,500 witnesses. From the testimony came a 6-volume report that has 94 calls to action. One of those calls to action dealt with the finding the unmarked graves and remains of the children who died at the schools. Recently, as we have seen in the news, we have uncovered over 1,300 unmarked graves, and the numbers are expected to be much higher. There are more searches planned, and in accordance with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we will need to have every site of a former residential school searched. 6 years after the release of the TRC final report, only 11 of the 94 calls to action have been fully implemented. While the road to reconciliation is long, we must take faster action to ensure residential school survivors and Indigenous communities can heal from this trauma. We still have a long way to go, but we can get there together. We've just come through an election where more Canadians than ever before say that reconciliation is important to them. We believe that change is possible. Our newly appointed Governor General, Mary Simon, was recently quoted as saying, "Reconciliation is getting to know one another." And today, we see this as one important step in that process. Thank you all for being here and taking a step with us towards reconciliation. I now encourage you all to watch the video, "He Can Fancy Dance" by Cindy Paul, who wrote the song and made the video. It is dedicated to her grandparents and all the survivors of residential schools. While the song is hauntingly beautiful, it is a tough video to watch. It tells the story of how schools broke the souls and spirits of our young Indigenous children and the trauma and lifelong wounds that haunt their lives even today. Miigwech, merci, thank you.
It was the day the Black Crow came into his land. They said, "We will teach your children right from wrong." mother's hand, he was gone. He could not fancy dance, he could not sing. He was told that it was a sin. But sometimes he'd fly out on the eagle's wing in his mind. Robbed of his spirit and his pride, he was told his people were undignified. He could not speak the language of his land. How could a man like that survive? Now he drinks whiskey and hangs out in bars. He says this fire water can do me no harm. Can't you see he lost his soul years ago? He's losing the fight again. Does this war ever really end? You know, all he wanted was to be your friend. He's losing the fight again. On a concrete corner all alone, whispered, mighty spirit, can you take me home? Take me back to when I was a little child. And he bowed his worried head and he closed his lonely eyes. Now he can fancy dance and he can sing. See him fly out on the eagle's wing. And if you listen close enough, you can hear him. His every breath is in the wind. He can fancy dance and he can sing. And you can see him fly out on the eagle's wing. And if you listen close enough, you can hear him sing. His every breath is in the wind. His every breath is in the wind. Now he can fancy dance and he can sing.
For as many trees we count our relatives, and for as many leaves on each tree we count the children, the generation of children that are not in our physical family. That's how many we mourn for. That's how many ancestors we have, right from the youngest to the oldest. So I am Roberta Oshkawbewisens. I am of the Bear and the Loon are my teachers. That's my parents' clans. And I am thankful for giving me them and for teaching me this way of life. I remember Grandma saying to us, I don't know if she said it to every one of us, but I remember listening and hearing what she went through when her children, my aunties, were stolen, were kidnapped, and also murdered, and not returning home, and being sent other places other than home, and letting the children know, our relatives know, that there's no more family left, so they went elsewhere to start a new life, because they didn't want to go back to where their home was, because they were told no one was there for them. As her daughters were driven off in this vehicle with a person dressed in black, and the children looking out from the window of the car, yelling, "Mom, Mommy, Daddy." In their small voices as a young child, and couldn't fight for themselves. So I believe they're probably about 4 years old. Grandma couldn't do anything. Grandpa couldn't do anything. Otherwise, they'd be arrested and put in jail. And they had more children to watch out for, so they chose to stay, and they just prayed that their children in these schools would be very, very strong and be able to survive no matter what. And they did. They survived. Eventually, they all came home. It was very hard for our families to continue, but we had to on their behalf. So in order for us to do this, we wanted them to be strong and to be able to survive where they were at. And they felt the energies from us and our commitment to families. They felt that, so in where they were at, it was called the residential schools, and they survived. Most of them survived, and we prayed and we worked hard, and we made our foods, and when we did all of this here, they were on our mind. They were in our hearts, so that we didn't do all this work ourselves. They were with us. And so we did this for them too. So we never let go of our families. Even still today, they are with us. It was hard for our families, not only my family, and for the families that lived through this experience or this life. And it seemed like something that we couldn't take on, because it was very, very disrespectful and demeaning for us to go through what we did go through. There's many grandmothers that are my generation also had went through residential school, even day school, which was just as bad. The only thing, we didn't stay at night. We went home. But our ancestors stayed and was not able to see their family maybe only once or twice a year. And we grew up without seeing our people. We grew up without hearing the language. Most of us did. Without hearing the language. Without our ceremonies. Without our transition in life. pathways in life, the celebrations that we did in life. We grew up without those for up to 16, maybe even 18 years. And that's long enough for something else to be put into our system to help us forget who we are and where we were, where families were. Sure, we mourn for them because of what they have gone through, but we always remember, let them experience the life that they could have lived through us, and let us feel joy and goodness in our heart that we are able to live for them today.